And we welcome you into another edition of the Dodger Poke Down on the Farm. Each and every week, Dodger Poke is going to release a new episode on the four affiliates of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Oklahoma City Dodgers, at AAA, the AA Tulsa Drillers, the High A Great Lakes Loons, and the Low A Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. This episode is designated specifically for the High A Great Lakes, so let's talk about the Loons. Great Lakes just completed a 6-game series in South Bend in which they were 2-4 in the series. They are now 25-20 on the year. Eddie's Leonard leads the club in both batting average and OPS. Leonard has a .270 batting average and an .852 OPS. Johnny DeLuca hit his 13th home run Sunday. He leads the Loons in home runs with those 13. He's also tied with Ryan Ward for the organizational lead in home runs as well. So he's having a great year, especially from the power perspective. He also leads the team in RBIs with 26. This week, the Loons will have their 6-game series at home against Fort Wayne. So there you have it for the Great Lakes Loons last week. There's their schedule for this week. So let's get to talking about some of the action that happened last week for the Loons. The most exciting moment of the week, obviously, was the Cody Hosey walk-off base hit to win in the 10th inning Saturday night. But I think the most exciting sequence was the comeback that the Loons had over the weekend. Going into the 7th inning, they were trailing 8-6 and then hung a 7 spot on South Bend. You're watching it right now. The sequence was Zavala, DeLuca, Vivas walked. Eddie's Leonard had an RBI single. Jose Ramos had an RBI single. You've seen all of those so far as the hits. Here's Ryan January. He had an RBI double to left center field. And then after January doubles, Leonel Valera has a sac fly. And then you had an RBI double by Zavala and then a wild pitch. And when it was all said and done, the Loons had scored 7 runs and they held on to win that crazy game. Here is the sac fly by Valera. The Loons held on to win that game 13-10. We're going to hang on to this and watch Zabala's RBI double to right field because it was an awesome hit and it really fired the team up. I want you to watch his energy here in just a minute. This is catcher for the Loons, Juan Zabala. As we get to it, that's Ramos walking off the field. Here is that double to right field. You can see just how much energy he has with this. He just put a charge in that. So that ended that 7 spot that the Loons put on South Bend that completed the 7 runs in a game that was crazy that the Loons ended up holding on to win 13-10. Next time you check out the Loons, check out how they hit the ball up the middle to the opposite field. The Loons are just fantastic at staying inside the baseball and using the entire field. This is actually from a game to where 6 out of their 9, there's a solid base hit right back up the middle by Vivas. 6 out of their 9 non-home run hits were up the middle to the opposite field. There's Austin Chubb, manager. I'm sure had a lot to do with that, or has a lot to do with that. Their hitting instructor, Dylan Nashotka, I'm sure has a lot to do with that. So I wanted to point out just how well the Loons used the middle of the field to the opposite side of the field. They used the entire field, and that is very impressive because it's worked very well from there. Here's another double to the opposite field for Ryan January. So I wanted to point that out and make sure that next time you check out the Loons, maybe you can see that for yourself. We mentioned that Sunday, Johnny DeLuca hit his 13th home run, and here it is. DeLuca is an absolute steal. He was not, like a first or second rounder out of Oregon, but he has shown to be a very good talent with a lot of power for Great Lakes. That's 13 home runs now. That was his 13th. That is tied with Ryan Ward again for the organizational lead. You can see just that short stroke, the amount of power that he has in it. So Johnny DeLuca has had a big year for the Loons so far, leading the Loons in home runs and RBIs, tied for the organizational lead in home runs with 13. Julian Smith gave up a leadoff base hit in his last outing, and then the left-hander, as you can see, big, tall, and lanky just put out blanks in his 1.1 innings in his performance Sunday night. He was 95 with a fastball, had a good slider, good changeup, and he is a 15th rounder out of Catawba Valley Community College. I think I'm saying that correctly. In 2018, he's posted a 4.43 ERA this year, a 1.52 whip. So Julian Smith is another good left-handed bullpen pitching prospect with a big arm and a 3-pitch mix for the Great Lakes Loons. You're seeing video of an 11-pitch at-bat that pitcher Michael Hobbs on your video here won. On the 11th pitch, he actually recorded it out. The hitter's last name is Wogu, and I think you'll notice as this goes on that the scouting reports probably to bust him in, and Hobbs did that. 1-11 pitch at bat, very gritty, which I love, and I think Michael Hobbs is the steal out of the draft. He was a 10th rounder out of St. Mary's, and he has pitched way better than what 10th round would say. So I am very big on Michael Hobbs. He went 2 in this game. He gave up no runs. He struck out 2. He has an ERA of 3.92. His whip is good. Walks and hits per inning. It is at 1.26 for the year. So in my opinion, Michael Hobbs is if not the biggest steal of the draft, he is one of certainly very good pitcher out of St. Mary's. Sublett Vivas is one of those young loons that loves to use the opposite field to the middle of the field, uses the entire field, actually, to be exact, and he has done so to the tune of 12 multi-hits in the month of May. Let me say that again. Sublett Vivas has 12 multi-hit games in the month of May. So if you've noticed the theme of these Loons hitters, as I mentioned earlier, they love to use the middle of the field. They love to hit the ball to the opposite field. So well done to them. Wanted to make sure that the people who have made that happen get credit for what's happening. So there's Sublett Vivas. Again, 12 multi-hit games in the month of May alone. A very, very, very good young left-handed hitter in the Dodgers organization. Jose Ramos is a big outfield prospect who's already made a couple of the best defensive plays in the entire organization for the entire year of anybody in the Dodgers organization. I showed you video of the basket catch that he made a couple of weeks ago, and I compared that side by side to the catch that Willie Mays made so many years ago. But Ramos also is starting to flash the offense. He had two hits in the Loons win Saturday. You're seeing him here. He's had hits in 15 of his last 23 games that he's played in May. His average is all the way up to 270. He has an OPS of 883. And like we said earlier, we all know what kind of defense that he can play. He got brought up from low A Rancho Cucamonga just a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, and he has done nothing but flash great defense and play good offense. He's an exciting young prospect. He hustles everywhere he goes. He's a lot of fun to watch. So Jose Ramos is one to put on your radar and continue to follow. Leonard, again, leads the Loons in batting average and is having just a fantastic year. He's one of those prospects in the Dodgers organization that a lot of people have heard about. They were excited to see. He's one of the top prospects in the organization. He had 2 hits Saturday. He had 1 on Sunday. He now has 10 multi-hit games in the month of May. You know, we said earlier that Ramos had 12, that Vivas had 12, excuse me. Leonard has had 10 multi-hit games in the month of May, so they have both been very, very hot. He's hitting 270 with an OPS of 852, and again, he leads the Loons in batting average, and he's another one of those young hitters that loves, as we see, to hit the ball to the opposite field. He stays inside the baseball. He loves to hit the ball to the middle of the field. He loves to use the entire field. A very, very good young right-handed hitter, Leonard. Ryan January, the January journey is certainly on track. The Great Lakes catcher, the Loons catcher, had 2 doubles and 3 RBIs Saturday in that crazy win I showed you just a minute ago, where Great Lakes scored 7 runs and hung on to win 13-10. At that time, he had hits in 3 games in a row. He had raised his average by 16 points in the last 9 games. So Ryan January has gotten hot, and he's starting to hit the baseball. We know that he plays very good defense. He brings great energy. He loves the game of baseball. So the Great Lakes Loons catcher, Ryan January, is having a good year in Great Lakes. Emmanuel Vargas, first baseman for the Loons, might have as much or more power than anybody in the entire organization. Yeah, you don't see the ball on the screen. You know why? Because he hit it out of the screen. He hit, I think, the middle of the Jumbotron. This was one of the most impressive home runs that I have seen all year. He's hit a couple of those. He has a lot of swag to him. He has a lot of confidence. He is a fun young player to watch hit. So Emmanuel Vargas, with the amount of power that he brings from the first base position, he's certainly one to watch. If you're watching this and you're astute enough to see the Rancho on the front of the jersey of Ben Caspers, that is not a mistake. Caspers just recently, I mean within the last couple days, look at that changeup. Got brought up from low A Rancho Cucamonga. Look at that slider getting underneath the left-hander swing. The changeup slider mix to go with the fastball that has the arm side tail. I have been singing the praises of Ben Caspers the young right-hander out of Yukon for quite a while now. He got brought up to High A Great Lakes. There is that big curveball. So you've seen the slider, you've seen the changeup, you've seen the tailing fastball. Now the big curveball. There's another 12-6 type shaped breaking ball. A lot of stuff for Ben Caspers out of Yukon. I am very high on this young man. So congratulations on your promotion to High A Great Lakes, Ben Caspers. Ryan Sublett, a kind of side slaughter. I don't want to call him a side armor because if you see his hand, he stays on side of the base, on the top of the baseball, I should say. But he does do that from kind of a side slot, if you will. So Ryan Sublett, I don't want to call him a side armor. I want to call him a side slaughter. You can see right there, he's on the side slot, but his hand is still over the baseball. So a side slaughter, easy for me to say. Out of Texas Tech, and if you come out of Texas Tech, the Red Raiders have really become one of the perennial powers in college baseball. There's a couple things that are going to be pretty much guaranteed. You're going to be a great person. You know, Clayton Beater is from Texas Tech, and he, you know, if you know him, he's a great person too. You're going to be a great person. You're going to be very talented, and you're going to be extremely competitive. And as you just watch Sublett pitch, just don't even look at the actual pitches. Just watch his mannerisms and watch how much confidence he carries himself with and the swagger. And if you don't have confidence and swagger, you will not play for Tim Tadlock at Texas Tech. So Ryan Sublett has the stuff. He has the confidence. He's a great person like all the Dodgers are. They do not draft people that aren't great people. I think he has the full package to be a, look at that slider, just kind of a Frisbee type pitch. And there's that fastball that just freezes the hitter for the Cubs. There's the fastball that tails in on the hands. So you've kind of seen the whole package there for Sublett. You see the confidence as he walks off. There's that tailing and fading fastball. So I really like this kid coming out of the pen. Wanted to show you the stuff of the lefty Jacob Tuttleberry for the Loons as he comes out of the pen for them out of Missouri. Good stuff. There's that good slider, kind of a sweeping type pitch that could probably, I would imagine, be used quite a bit as a back foot pitch. There's another sweeping slider. Could also be used as a backdoor. And with this fastball, just kind of snithered. You see how you sneak it in on the hands. That wasn't a back foot, but he did get underneath the swing, and there's the fastball that tails away to pair off of that slider. So you see the slider coming in on the righty. You see you can get a little bit more tumble on that one. He can get it to be a back foot. There's the back door slider. So you've seen the back door slider. You've seen the back foot slider. You've seen the slider come in on the hands of the righty. And then you've seen him, there's the changeup. You've seen him pair that with the fastball that tails away. And then the changeup to just kind of mess the timing up of the hitter. So there's the full package of Missouri, of the Missouri product, Jacob Tuttleberry, and his left-handed arm, or his left arm. Kyle Hurt out of USC has been on a strikeout spree. He has now struck out. He now has 17 Ks in his last 3 outings. That spans 10 innings, so 17 strikeouts in his last 10 innings. During that time, here's probably the most impressive part of that whole thing. While he has struck out, that's Max Hewitt from Oklahoma State. I love Max, one of my favorite players of all times at OSU. During that time where he has struck out 17 hitters in his last 3 outings, in his last 10 innings, he has walked a grand total of 1 hitter. So he has struck out 17 and walked 1. He's also given up just 1 earned run during that period. So 17 strikeouts to 1 walk, 1 earned run, and he went 5 scoreless in his last outing. His ERA is all the way down now to 1.74. So let me go over that again. 17 strikeouts, 1 walk. The last time he went out, he did not give up a run. ERA all the way down to 1.74. So I would say, you know, this 5th rounder out of the 2020 draft out of USC is certainly living up to that, if not more. You know, Gavin Stone was another 2020 draft pick that the Dodgers picked up out of the University of Central Arkansas. So there's a long haul to be had that has been had by the Dodgers from that 2020 draft from the right-handed starting pitcher perspective with Kyle Hurt and Gavin Stone. So there is Kyle Hurt and his stuff and the strikeout spree he's been on. He has been fantastic this year. Low A Rancho Cucamonga, the Quakes, did not have video last week, so I'm going to go ahead and throw theirs in on the end of the High A Great Lakes podcast this week. So there will not be a 4th and separate podcast for the Quakes this week. This will be it at the end of the Great Lakes Loons podcast, but they finished a series with Visalia this last week. They went 4-2. Damon Keith has had a tremendous year so far. He was the player of the month here just a little bit ago, and surely he's in line for promotion. He is just absolutely hitting the ball extremely, extremely well. He leads the squad in batting average for Rancho Cucamonga at 329. He also leads the Quakes in OPS at 998. The number one prospect in all the Dodgers organization is on the Quakes team too, and that would be catcher Diego Cartaya. He kind of got off to a slow start. He's rebounded from that. He now has 31 RBIs, and his batting average is up around about the 260 mark. So Diego Cartaya, the Dodgers' number one prospect, has rebounded nicely and has been hitting the ball very well of late. After a couple really good starts, which he showed off his plus secondary stuff, wanted to mention again, Ben Caspers has been promoted from Low A Rancho to High A Great Lakes. So congratulations and good luck to him once more. Jake Vogel, Yainer Fernandez, Alex DeJesus, Damon Keith all had 2 hits last Wednesday for Rancho. Young Shang Lin, I think I'm saying that right, a 23-year-old Taiwanese pitcher, went 4 scoreless innings in that game as well last Wednesday. The Quakes won that game 10-3. Diego Cartaya, we just talked about him a minute ago, being the Dodgers' number one prospect, had 5 hits in 17 at-bats over the past week. That included a home run, a triple, a double, 5 RBIs, 11 total bases. So Cartaya has gotten hot, the number one prospect for the Dodgers. Edgardo Enriquez, I really like this guy. He reached 98 in his last performance with the fastball. Big fastball through 5 innings in his last start. Saturday, total dominance. He's from Venezuela, and the young Venezuelan did not allow a run. He struck out 7. And along the same lines, another very, very impressive young right-handed pitcher for the Quakes is Jermaine Rosario, who went 4 scoreless innings on Saturday, struck out 5 himself. So Rosario and Enriquez, 2 very, very impressive young pitchers in the Dodgers organization that I am very high on. And some headlines from the week: Damon Keith and Julio Carrion each had 2 hits apiece. Luis Rodriguez had 3 on Saturday. So Luis Rodriguez had 3 hits Saturday, and Damon Keith and Julio Carrion had 2. Maddox Bruns, that's a big name. Everybody wants to hear about Maddox Bruns. He threw 1.2 scoreless innings, and the Quakes lost to Visalia. Damon Keith had 2 more hits on Thursday for Rancho to raise his average, as we mentioned a minute ago, to 336 at the time. And like we said, Ben Caspers, in his last outing, he's got promoted, but in his last outing with the Quakes, this last time out, proved how good he was, and had a great outing, and did not allow a run. And he was very good in his last outing for Low A Rancho Cucamonga, and then got promoted. Julio Carrion had a great week. He had 7 hits. Carrion had 7 hits and 23 at-bats against Visalia. You know, in the minor leagues, you have the weekly series now, 6-game series. And so he had 7 hits and 23 at-bats this week in the 6-game series against Visalia. He also had 8 RBIs, 14 total bases. Alex DeJesus, a left side infielder, plays some shortstop, plays some third base. He had a good week. He had 6 hits on the week. He had a hit all but 1 game in this last series against Visalia. And Luis Diaz had possibly his best week of the year with 7 hits on the week. Again, Luis Diaz with 7 hits on the week and 8 total bases. He also, or Luis Rodriguez, I should say, finished the week strong by collecting 5 hits in his last 3 games, which included a home run, a double, and 9 total bases. So there you have it. There's the High A Great Lakes Loons. There is the Low A Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, and there is your podcast on them. And I'm glad you tuned in to another Dodger Poke down on the farm, and I hope that you log on to DodgerPokeReport.com or visit Dodger Poke on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. I hope also that you go to your podcast streaming service of your choice. This will be a podcast. Just go to your podcast streaming service of your choice, search Dodger Poke, look for Down on the Farm, and they will all be there. This week it will be AAA Oklahoma City, AA Tulsa, and then combined one podcast will be High A Great Lakes and Low A Rancho Cucamonga, since there was not any video for the Quakes this week. So there you have it. There's all your podcasts. I'm glad that you've tuned in, and as always, go Dodgers.